Today is a 48 First Alert Weather Day. Sponsored by Mr. Rooter Plumbing for all your emergency plumbing services.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Fastcast. Going to take about 10 minutes here. Depending on when you're watching this, you may fast forward to find what you want. If you're watching it live, well, you'll see it as we throw it at you. What we're going to watch here is today's kind of the final day to prepare for what's coming, and most likely this won't move in until the earliest 5 or 6 in the morning. I do want to start with the potential for snow because everybody seems to get hung up on that, and this has become more of a freezing rain and sleet event. But that's not to say we won't see accumulation of sleet that actually looks like snow on the roads. But this is roughly 6 o'clock tomorrow morning through noon, and this is our in-house high-resolution model from our weather company. We come and get out of Boston, so again, it may look a little different than other things you may see, particularly on social media, right? So we got just a trace, basically, and some of this is going to end up being maybe 1 to 2 inches of sleet as well. So about 3 inches as you go up towards Waynesboro, a possibility, maybe 3 on the way up towards Columbia and Nashville itself. I kind of pulled a map down, you can see. And again, some of this is going to be a combination of sleet as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of sleet, especially the northwest corner of the state. Hopefully we see mostly sleet and less in the way of freezing rain, because freezing rain is the rain that's super cool and freezes on contact on those bridges and overpasses, and more importantly, your power lines and the trees. And once you get above 1/4 of an inch of what we call accretion instead of accumulation, in the sense of ice collecting on those things, you get problems when you start to see that. And we are seeing several indications that we may get as much as 1/2 inch, and the winds will gust as well to around 20 miles an hour. I put this real busy graphic together, and I only will show it on social media and right here on our Fastcast, because it gives you a little bit more time to take everything in. Notice the time here at the top. We're looking 5 a.m. and I've got another graphic that shows the other communities. And if you don't see your town or city, you're just going to have to do some math and figure out how close you live, proximity to these areas, because I can't put everybody on the map. By 5, 8 o'clock, many areas see this change over to rain. However, as you see, Florence and Russellville out there in the extreme northwest corner of the state where we have the ice storm warning, it's still possible we'll have a mix, and it changes to rain there overnight. The challenge is, if we have several hours of this wintry mix and a lot of it's freezing rain and the temperatures stay in the upper 20s, we're going to have issues. There are going to be power outages. We're going to reach those 1/2 inch totals. So hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of this will come as sleet instead of the freezing rain. And then, because once the rain comes, if you've already lost power, the power snap or something like that with the power lines, the rain's really not going to help. It does help the roads, though, because the rain's going to be fairly warm out there, too. Here's the other side. You'll see mostly rain here, and these are areas on the southern fringes of the viewing area, and the start time's a little different. So Hartselle, maybe a wintry mix there very briefly from 9 to 11. I don't expect major issues there because there's a quick change over to rain and temperatures in the mid-30s. And we're going to go through this more graphic form hour by hour here in just a second, but you can see Coleman, Arab, Gunnersville, most of this is rain and poor visibility with that rain, and even more rain Sunday with even some thunderstorms, a possibility there too. Scottsboro, we're talking a mix here between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Same thing for Boaz, but you get to Rainsville and Fort Payne, and I'm really going to focus on this area for you as well. And it's not going to surprise me if the model guidance keeps trending this way that you get upgraded to an ice storm warning in parts of Jackson and DeKalb County, which does include Rainsville, Fort Payne, Section, Pisgah, Rosalie, areas like that. And we're also seeing road temperatures forecast by our in-house Barron's model run here in town that shows some of those road temperatures could be below freezing overnight into Sunday morning. So we're going to start off with where we have the current ice storm warning in effect. These are freezing rain accumulation totals by the forecast guidance, that graph model we use. Again, the model from Boston. Those guys know a lot about winter weather up there in Boston. They're the ones who put this together. So we're looking, Ardmore could have some issues here. Fayetteville maybe approaching 1/4 of an inch of ice. Same thing Rogersville, but we're not seeing these 1 inch totals. But this will be disastrous in Corinth if it's all freezing rain. Again, some of this in the calculation, the formula that puts this algorithm together. Sometimes you're right on the fine line between that sleet and that freezing rain. I do expect some issues in around Florence, the rest of the shoals out towards Cherokee. Again, the farther west you are, the closer you are to the the colder air and the longer this event may last. Along Highway 64, Pulaski to the west, I expect some power outages there if this verifies. Keep in mind, when you get up to a ½ inch of ice on those power lines, it weighs about every 300 feet of that power line, you get 500 pounds of weight added, and when you get the wind, it just kind of swings the power line, and that's when you get the failures. Wanted to zoom in here on Madison County as well, just because it's the northern parts you get from Harvest up towards Ardmore and out to Elkmont. We're still seeing this fine line, whereas you get into South Huntsville, people are going to be like, well, what winter storm, right? That's just the proximity of it. And as we've been stressing all along, this is going to be a different storm for everyone. And for some areas, Somerville down towards Hartselle, I don't expect much issues there. New Hope, Owens Crossroads. Again, we get locked in up here as we get into the far northeast corner of the state. Some of these totals are even higher on the latest European model and the GFS model. If anything, the European model, we've been talking about models all week till it drives some of you crazy. So that's why we're kind of just sticking with one model, and that's our official forecast, and that's what it is here. But those other models, they are starting to trend a little bit south with more ice. So we're getting more concerned here with DeKalb and Jackson counties. You get into this hilly terrain, you get cold air pockets into the valleys that just kind of lingers there. And the other thing about this area is that area high pressure that's bringing the cold air in is going to provide more of an east wind here and lock in that cold air. It's called the wedge. So let's begin with the hour-by-hour look. And I put this sleet and freezing rain here just because some of you don't know what the pink is. The blue should be obvious. That's the snow chance. So we've got a chance of snow here. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Look at the temperatures, 23 in Florence. The road temperatures are going to be below freezing at the onset of this. So we do expect, especially bridges and overpasses, they'll become more vulnerable and slick before anything else. North wind at 9, gusting to about 20 miles an hour though. Notice the pink here and the delay in the rain, the drier air. It's already warmer here to start with in Arab, Coleman, Albertville, and even Fort Payne. So this is the tricky part. It starts out warmer, but it will get colder, and you'll see that coming up here in a second. That's just before 11 o'clock tomorrow. We continue to be concerned with far northern parts of Madison County, Limestone County, and then again in northern Lawrence County, all of the shoals down towards Phil Campbell and Russellville. Notice it keeps sleeting, it keeps freezing rain intact here in those same areas. So we're looking at several hours. That is why even though this changes to rain in most areas overnight tomorrow night, the damage may already be done on the power lines into the power grids out there. The roads may improve some, but again, they may ice up as well just because they'll be packed. I mean, if they're snow packed and sleet packed and icy. 245 though, Huntsville, downtown area up here towards Newmarket. That's that warm nose we've been trying to really nail down the last few days. It's just rain here in Scottsboro, Arab down to Coleman, and there's that rain, sleet, freezing rain, and rain line, we'll call it, down there towards Smith Lake. As we continue on, by 6:30, most areas are rain. There's still some sleet potentially. Again, I'm mentioning this as an exact form, but it's not an exact, it's an inexact science. So this is all still subject to change. But this is the best angle and approach we have as far as the modeling guidance goes, because it's usually pretty good. But you see the warming trend go up here towards Pulaski and Fayetteville and Athens. That should start the melting process that'll continue overnight. But notice this area I've circled here, Scottsboro to Fort Payne and Rainsville. Notice how this stays locked in. That's because we have this easterly wind from that wedge that continues to drive colder air, and it's battling with the warmer air coming in at the mid-levels first and then making its way down to the surface. So that's 11 o'clock, and we continue on here. We get a slight break here around 145, but the temperature's down to 30 degrees there. Meanwhile, we stay in the mid-30s elsewhere. Now, as we go into Sunday, we expect a big changeover to just rain and heavy rain at that. Notice how the temperatures recover, but we're still looking at 31 in Fort Payne. So again, I've seen this happen where everybody else starts getting rain, and then everyone in these communities like, well, wait, we're still getting freezing rain and we got trees falling. So we're going to keep a close eye on that for you throughout the event. We'll be here throughout the weekend. Here's the noon hour Sunday. Notice the back edge. We see a return to some sleet or freezing rain, but I don't think this will be prolonged. The front's going to come through rather quickly. Our temperatures will top out in the 40s, and then we start to bottom out. Now, some good news here, we don't immediately drop below freezing. You notice it's 37, strong northwest wind gusting over 25 miles an hour. So some of these roads are really going to start to dry out, but there will be patches of black ice. I do expect delays as we get into the morning hours on Monday, as those low temperatures will be down in the upper teens to near 11 degrees in some spots. I mentioned rainfall. Here's that heavy rainfall forecast. Again, we'll use the European model here. It's done a fairly decent job, about 1 to 2 inches. It's kind of gone back and forth, and I think some of that is because it has that freezing rain in there too. So here's your 10-day forecast as we finish out this fast cast for you. It's been about 10 minutes, hasn't it? 38 or so. Again, it's really hard to pinpoint a high temperature tomorrow. It doesn't really reflect the overall atmosphere and the changes across the area. So we'll kind of skip that and talk about more uniform cold here. Monday morning, 14, Tuesday morning, 8 to 11 degrees, then 37 Tuesday. Next week, colder than normal, another blast of cold air. And again, the buzz on social media is a secondary area low pressure near the Gulf. And I will tell you, it's way too early to talk about that storm system because we haven't even gotten through this first storm system. So again, we won't be talking about that until next week. Next forecast comes up at 4, 5, 6, and 10. We'll have several updates on social media and on our news app, our weather app, and all that CTV programming, our digital pages. You'll be able to find more information throughout the day. And we urge you to please share your information with us and what you're seeing as